In most lab reports, normal just means you fall within the average range of the population. But right now, almost 93% of US adults are metabolically unhealthy. So if you're being compared to the average and the average is inflamed, insulin resistant, and exhausted, is that really the goal? Because I don't know about you, but I don't want average. I want optimal.
Welcome to the Glucose Diaries, where midlife meets metabolic magic. I'm Stephanie, and after 20 plus years of trial and error, I finally cracked the code on blood sugar, hormones, and fat loss. And now I'm sharing everything I've learned with you. Because here's the wild part. 9 out of 10 adults in the US are metabolically unhealthy, and most have no idea. This podcast is here to change that, with real talk, no fluff, and zero gatekeeping. Each episode is short, practical, and packed with real-life examples to help you understand what's actually going on inside your body and what you can do about it one step at a time. Please note, this show is for educational purposes only and is not medical advice. Always consult your healthcare provider before making any changes to your wellness routine. Now let's dive into today's episode.
Welcome back to the Glucose Diaries. I'm Stephanie. And if you've ever left a doctor's office feeling completely dismissed, this episode is for you. So you've got the blood work, you've waited for the results, and then you heard those 4 magic words. Everything looks completely normal. See you next year. But deep down, you know something's off. Maybe you're gaining weight, even though your habits haven't changed. Maybe you're crashing in the afternoon, craving sugar, or waking up at 3 a.m. every night. Or maybe you just don't feel like yourself anymore, but your labs don't reflect it. So today we're talking about the difference between normal and optimal and why the standard lab ranges might be missing the early signs of metabolic dysfunction. So let's start with the hard truth. In most lab reports, normal just means you fall within the average range of the population. But right now, almost 93% of US adults are metabolically unhealthy. So if you're being compared to the average and the average is inflamed, insulin resistant, and exhausted, is that really the goal? Because I don't know about you, but I don't want average. I want optimal. Let's talk about 3 labs that often get overlooked or misread and what they can tell you when you look at them through a metabolic lens. The first one is something called A1C. That's your average blood sugar over the past 2 to 3 months. Most doctors will say that you're fine if it's under 5.7, but optimal is closer to 5.0 to 5.3. And don't worry, I'm going to have a freebie at the end that you can go online to grab so that you don't have to remember these numbers if you're walking the dog or driving or something like that. Studies show that even A1C levels between 5.4 and 5.6 are still considered normal, are associated with a significantly higher risk of heart disease and diabetes. The next marker is fasting glucose, your blood sugar after 8 to 12 hours without eating. Conventional ranges say anything under 100 is fine, but many functional providers suggest aiming for a range between 70 to 85. Anything in the 90s, especially consistently, can be an early warning sign of insulin resistance. And here's the most overlooked lab of all, and it drives me freaking crazy. Fasting insulin. This tells you how hard your body is working behind the scenes to keep your blood sugar in check. You could have a perfectly normal A1C and still have insulin through the roof behind the scenes. And that matters because high insulin equals fat storage mode. Optimal fasting insulin is around 2 to 6, but many people walk around with levels of 10, 15, and even 20 plus and never get flagged. Frankly, because most doctors don't even pull fasting insulin. But even when they do, they don't do much about it until you hit more than 20, traditionally speaking. So if you're walking around with levels of 10, 15, and even 20, and they never get flagged, it's because the lab report says it's technically still within range, quote unquote. But by that point, your body's already been compensating for years. It's working so hard just to maintain, and you're wondering why you're tired, inflamed, or stuck. So no, normal isn't always okay. Normal might just mean you're not diabetic yet. Now, I'm not telling you to obsess over numbers, but I am telling you to ask better questions. So if your doctor won't run fasting insulin, or if they brush off your symptoms because your A1C is normal, that's a red flag, not a green light. Let me give you 3 things you can do right now to take control of your labs. Number 1, ask for these tests at your next appointment: A1C, fasting glucose, and fasting insulin. Number 2, track your own blood sugar with a glucometer or a CGM, stands for continuous glucose monitor. I wear one all the time to see how food, stress, and sleep affect your body in real time. And number 3, download my free metabolic lab snapshot guide at theglucosediaries.com/labs. It gives you the functional ranges I just shared, plus an additional 2 other markers to get, and a breakdown of how to interpret what you're seeing. You don't need to be a doctor to advocate for your health. You just need a roadmap. And that's exactly what this podcast is here to give you. If this episode helped you feel more empowered or seen, make sure to follow the show and definitely send it to a friend who's been told they're fine but still feels off. And a quick reminder before I go: if your labs are normal and your symptoms are loud, you deserve better answers. And now you know where to start. Thanks for listening to the Glucose Diaries. I'll see you next time.
And that's a wrap. I hope you enjoyed today's episode of the Glucose Diaries. Make sure to follow the show so you never miss an episode. And if you got value from today's conversation, send it to a friend who may need to hear it too. And if you have a few seconds, it would mean the world to me if you would leave a quick review on whatever platform you're listening to this episode. It helps more women like you find this show and feel less alone on their wellness journey. You can find any links or resources mentioned today at theglucosediaries.com, and come say hey over on Instagram at theglucosediaries. I love connecting with you in the DMs. Until next time, remember, you are not alone, you are not broken, and you deserve to feel amazing.